Tēnā tātou. Now, Uawa is a real interesting case study for some of the things that we can transfer across from tupuna, from atua, kaitiaki, the whole range of different aspects of looking at atua matua. When we start with the location for Te Rawhioro that Wayne talked about, it shows the different locations that they started from and slowly worked their way down to the river, from being up in the puke and the maunga behind Uawa, and then eventually they came down for commercial reasons and for reasons of being able to defend their location more easily as they shifted. So a lot of geographical locations or interests there about what they could defend and what they couldn't. Also in the river, with the two rocks that Uawa Rua Matua is named after, the kaitiaki on either side of the river. Now the interesting part about that is looking at the environmental science of kaitiaki tanga, whether it's commercially connected or whether it was to be used as who's looking after who. And in that situation, they're talking about the kaitiaki being the ones that look after the people. So often we think of kaitiaki as us needing to look after the environment, but in that case there, what we were talking about was those kaitiaki are in the water and they show people where to head towards food, where they're protected, where their whare location was, and a whole range of other connections from that perspective. But where it gets even more interesting is as we head out to the mouth of the river, we get closer to the ocean. Now from physical activity perspective, and you can hear it here today, we then are able to use some of the behaviours of tangaroa for physical activity training. So you'll hear the wave crash. Bang, your interval starts, you start sprinting, then when you hear it crash again, your interval stops. So when it comes in for the second one, that's the length of your interval. So you can do your interval training based around the ocean. So that's a contemporary way of looking at what Uawa provides. As the river comes down, you get closer to the sea, you can use the sea, tangaroa, kiwa for training effects. If you want a longer interval, you choose a flatter beach where the waves are going to take longer to come back before the second crash of the wave comes. If you want a faster interval, choose a steeper beach with rocks on it. Then try and move across the surface of it without making any noise. So you've got to wait for the crash of the wave before you can run, so that there's no sound. Now they have a beach in near Uawa, some 50-60 kilometres up the coast, called Kirikiri Tātanga. And what they used that for was to be able to train and move across the surface without making any noise. So you have to wait for the waves, for the ngaru, for the behaviour patterns of kiwa and tangaroa to hide your movement sounds. Now the final part that's the most interesting in my mind of all, and what Uawa have done, is the idea that we can take a contemporary facility like the surf life-saving facility in Uawa and make it into something that's relevant for the community. That place was always locked, nobody could go into it. An AGM was called, the community managed to get themselves into positions of treasurer, secretary, president, so on. Went through the process of looking at why the community wouldn't come. Speedo togs is one of them. Nobody wanted to wear those, so that got written out of the constitution. They didn't like the use of some of the knee boards, that got written out as well. They used wakama and stand-up paddleboard. But the interesting part is they're there to save the beach and make sure that they look after the things that tangaroa needs first. Which means that if someone's drowning, they come second. There's glass on the beach, pick up the glass, look after the place that's going to be there for another millennia while people come after that. So it means that they know that the taiao, that's the beach that's fed out from the mutu Uawa, is the primary thing that we need to care for. People come second, the environment comes first, but if we look after the environment, we're the benefactors, we're the ones that get the incidental gains. It's a win-win situation when taiao comes first.